Come on! Don't say, come on!
What is up? What is up? What is up, y'all? This is TTC, aka the ThunderConductor. It has been actually a hot second. Let me give y'all some updates, y'all. So look, I'm gonna make this as quick as possible. Basically, what has been going on is that I have been dealing with technical issues, but we're back. And piece by piece, be bringing the old show back exactly how it was in the past, where we'll be doing live music in the introduction. We're gonna be featuring artists from my friend groups, from different artists that you all suggest, people preferably who won't copyright me, but whoever I can bring on. The whole intent of this channel is to be able to do live music and live cEDH gameplay. We'll probably throw some casual games in there as we continue to build a community and do our thing. I want to bring y'all on the stream as well. That's going to be fire as well. If you have been over my test channel, you probably, if you're seeing this stream, I'm not going to tell y'all where it's at, but I've had quite a minty of test streams where I was doing, let's just call a spade a spade. It was a lot of testing, like a lot of testing. Just really finding that groove when it comes to what exactly do I need to do this? What exactly do I need to do that? What exactly do I need to do this? Really just keeping it going, trying to be as consistent as possible, solving any and every problem that comes up as they come up. So that has been where I've been at for the last forever. And before we kind of get into this Decktech review, because I got a whole new deck. I know y'all know me as Reunion Fire Dancer, that bottle red guy. Yes, it's still here, and we can hit that deck again. However, I also want to talk about my new deck, and it's in a gray box. And so, what color is the deck? Well, can you all guess? Can you guess? It's colorless. It's a new colorless deck. Liberator, Urza's Battlethopter. In purple sleeves, too. Ooh. So this is Liberator, Urza's Battlethopter. It is a instant speed flash stacks deck. That is, I'm not going to lie, I'm having a blast with this deck. It's so much fun. I just can't lie. My favorite part about currently about the game Magic is being able to interact at instant speed, and with this giving me exactly what I needed to give me, while also being able to give me a new play experience, which is playing with stacks. Because I'm not a fan of stacks, because if they're removed, it's like you're fucked. Also playing playing with a lot of artifacts and a lot of cards that I really haven't been able to play with before that I'm going to be talking about in this list. One, during Archaic, of course, the One Ring, I have the One Ring, but just so many artifact cards that I just Agatha's Soul Cauldron. It's a combo piece in this deck and a stack and a removal piece in this deck. It's so good, and it's just so many cards that I really couldn't run Reunion because I've really found my groove with how I actually want to pilot that deck. And being able to now be able to shift my from that mono red to this colorless has really opened my eyes. And though I am still the main Reunion pilot that you will ever meet, and I'm gonna whoop anybody's tail with that mono red deck. Bring me the T&K Blue Farm, give me the Najila, bring me the Atraxa. I'm gonna beat them all with that mono red Reunion deck. I am having a lot of fun with this deck, and I absolutely will recommend you all to check this out. And if you would like, you can check my list out. It's a newer list, so if you decide to check it out, always keep an eye on it because I'm going to be making constant revisions as we continue to go. So there's a lot of win conditions, a lot of fun stuff. So let's go ahead and just open her up. So here we are. This is my current Liberator cEDH deck, and it's called ISD, Instant Speed Debris. Literally, I was talking to my younger brothers, and I was just sharing this with them, and then they was like, "Oh," like I was sharing it with them, like, "Oh, we made my deck." Like I shared my younger brother saying like, "Hey man, new cEDH deck," and it was like cool. And I showed him the commander. My younger brother was like, "Yo, I just made that deck too." And I was like, "What?" And so then I was like, I was like, "What version did you make?" And so he made an Eldrazi version, and then I was like, I made a Stacks version. And as I said it, like it popped in my head finally, Instant Speed Debris. Exactly, doing a lot of fun cEDH Flash combo stacks, tempo deck stuff. So let's start from the top. I'm gonna disable my tags. I've already been working on this deck a lot, and oh my gosh, it's so much fun. But one piece at a time. The entire I have already started the primer, so if you are interested, you can check the primer out for all of the win conditions and all the other fun stuff. But we're just gonna go card by card and really break down what each card is used for. And the beautiful thing about this deck is you will find the cards are multi-layer, where they may be a stacks piece, a kind of combo piece. It may be a removal piece and a combo piece. You'll notice me saying it'll be this and a combo piece a lot. So as we keep moving forward, just notice that a lot of cards will have that multifaceted use, which is the beautiful thing about it, which makes it even tougher because we're playing a Fringer and a harder to really understand deck. It is really important and helpful to just understand that your opponents may not see the line coming up for you, because we can start with our first card up here, Karn the Great Creator. The thing about this card is it is a stacks piece that turns off, an asymmetric stacks piece that turns off only your opponent's stacks. And you can plus it to make an artifact, a non-creature artifact, into an artifact, and you can minus it. In Commander, you can't use a sideboard, but if you notice this right here, choose a face up card from exile. So this card does three things. It is a stacks piece against artifacts. It is a recursion from exile. And number three, it is actually a combo piece where if you're able to have an artifact on tapper and you have that artifact on tapper that costs 2, and we'll hit those in a little bit, you're able to go through things like you can turn your Basalt Monolith, Grim Monolith, or Mana Vault, or any of your other mana rocks that make 3 or more mana. You're able to turn those into creatures and then untap them as if they were creatures, because there's some untappers that just use that only untap artifact creatures, and we'll get to that creature, but it's the threefold. So, and if I haven't already, basically, Liberator, Urza's Battlethopter, Flying Flash. You may cast colorless spells and artifact spells as though they have flash. No fleet, not just artifacts, colorless spells as well. So you will be surprised how often you just get people with an instant speed Karn the Great Creator, which is not fun for anybody. One of my favorite things to do with it is actually to flash it in at the end of combat of the person after me, or in response to a dockside, of course. But if you flash it in at the end of combat or at the end during the end step before your turn, you really lock people out from committing anything or doing anything. So It's a great early game stacks piece. But the second part of this card, it basically says, whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast the spell is greater than Liberator, Urza's Battlethopter's power, put a +1/+1 counter on Liberator. So it doesn't say the spell CMC. It says if the amount of mana spent to cast the spell is greater. So if your stacks piece is causing you to pay more to pay for a spell, it only counts the amount of mana that is spent to cast a spell on the stack, and it has to be greater than Liberator's power. So when you do cast Liberator on turn 1 or 2, which is usually the mulligan you do, the minute you start, you spend 2 mana to cast a colorless spell, bam, that is 1/+1/+1 counter. Then you drop a 3-drop, that's another +1/+1 counter. You can start a 3-drop and go straight to another 3-drop to go to 1/+1 to another +1. But you usually like kind of think that in the back of your hand, like I want to make my Urza's Liberator big, because we in cEDH we are in a current meta where there are crimes out there, and one of the funnest things, whether they remember it or not, is your opponent not being able to attack you because you have a Liberator that's untapped, and they can't attack with you with a 4/4 flyer because your Liberator is a 4/5. That asymmetric power versus toughness is really, really good at just being being as it is, just being this crazy thing that can have this huge monstrous impact on the board state. So let's keep going. We got a lot to cover. Let's go back to the large view, and then we'll just go one at a time. Okay, next, Cityscape Leveler. This is pretty straightforward. Cityscape Leveler is just a removal piece. It has trample. It is an 8/8. Pretty good when you can have set instant speed. Whenever you cast a spell, whenever Cityscape Leveler attacks, destroy up to one target non-land permanent. So you can't destroy lands, but you can destroy any non-land permanent, and its controller creates a tap power token. The cool thing about this is a creature, and it is a cast trigger and an attack trigger. So if you really are stacking out the board and it's locked down, you can go piece by piece and just destroy all of their value pieces one by one. Goodbye Rhystic Studies, goodbye Mystic Remoras, goodbye anything on this Underworld Breach on the stack. On the battlefield. There's so many things, and unless they have a stifle ability, they can't do anything about it. So it's really good at just putting the nail in the coffin for whatever stacks piece. And it also has Unearth 8. Basically, you are able to, if this is in your graveyard for any reason, for like say if you milled it, you can pay 8 and cast it from your graveyard, and I believe it gets exiled at the beginning of the end step. A perm returns to the battlefield with Unearth. It's exiled. This is a delayed triggered ability. It can be countered by effects such as Defabricate counter triggered abilities. If an ability is countered, the permanent will stay on the battlefield, and the delayed trigger won't trigger again. However, this replacement effect will still exile the permanent if it eventually leaves the battlefield. Oh, that's good to know. Well, basically, that's just basically you pay 8, you get it for the turn, so you won't get the cast trigger because it's the Unearth ability does not trigger. Yeah, Cityscape Leveler's ability won't trigger when you activate the Unearth ability from your graveyard. It will, however, trigger when you attack because Unearth also gives it haste. So you basically cast it, go to combat, attack. At the beginning of the end step, it gets exiled. So it's like if for some whatever reason there's one stacks piece that's stopping you and you have enough mana, cast it for 8, go to combat, do your thing, and just win the game. Next, Foundry Inspector. It is a mana reducer. We do have some stacks pieces that cause all spells to cost more, like Sphere of Resistance, and this just allows our artifacts to cost cheaper. Just in general, this is really good. We do have a little bit of a higher mana curve in the 4 or 5 range for some of our combo pieces and our stacks pieces. So being able to reduce the cost of our artifact spells to being 1 less to cast is actually really powerful, and not to mention this is also a combo piece. Joy's Familiar, same thing. Difference between this one right now is this only touches artifact spells. This one only touches artifact spells, legendary, and sagas being historic spells. There are other mana reducers that I'm currently not running. I'm currently took inspiration from one of my guys' list, and I'm going to be playing around with a multiple version of the mana reducers. This is a combo piece as well. This also does the really cool thing. But the cool thing about being able to reduce the cost for historic spells is it causes my Karn the Great Creator to go from costing 4 mana to 3 mana, which in some pinches may be helpful. We keep it going. This is Condolfo Forge Master. This is one of our 8 tutors in the deck. It is the most powerful one, and there is actually a Condolfo Forge Master tutor line that the Liberator community has created. And basically, with Condolfo Forge Master and 6 expendable artifacts on the battlefield, you're able to go from just having Condolfo and those 6 artifacts and just winning the game, automatically tutoring all your combo pieces straight onto the battlefield and just ending the game. We'll be going through some other as we go through things. I will bring up which things are important to have in the 99 as you continue to do this line. But as you can see, it's just one of the best tutors because it puts it straight onto the battlefield. And you can either go for creatures based combos with this. It's very malleable where you want to know all the lines very well as you do things, because depending on what the board says, like, you're going to want to pivot between different strategies. So just gives you a lot of different options. So just keep that in mind as you're doing your thing. Next we have Low Steel Golem, our first stacks piece. This is just a stacks piece. It just gets the job done. The fact that it's a 5/3 creature too does not hurt, allowing you to have that big beater that really just gets the job done. I fucking love it. But it's only for non-artifact spells. So only spell is that this affects is our 2 instant spells that we have in this deck, as well as our Karn the Great Creator. So basically our entire deck is not affected. So it's one of the best, almost perfectly asymmetrical stacks pieces we have in our deck. So let's keep it going. Metalworker. This is by far one of the best rampers in this deck. But the number of artifacts that we run in this deck, if you cast Metalworker on an end step and untap with it, you can easily get anywhere from 6 to 12 mana by just tapping it, revealing any number of artifact cards in your hand, and adding 2 mana for each card revealed this way. Be cognizant that every card you reveal will be revealed information. So there may be times where you strategically want to take less mana if it means you won't be revealing a combo piece or a outlet. You know, one of the biggest things, this deck is great at making infinite colorless mana, but you also want to be cognizant that it needs an outlet to do with the mana, because we don't have an outlet in the command zone. That would be the only thing that make this commander more powerful. It'd probably be correct at that point. Probably would be a removal on site commander even more than it is now, but with your politicking skills, you're able to, keep things under control. But this is a combo piece and a ramp piece. Really, really powerful. Oh, and note, it doesn't say it on here, but this is a construct that will be important to know later. Next is Mirror Battlesphere. Now, I will just be honest with you. This is not a spell that you're thinking, why the fuck do you all run Mirror Battlesphere? What if you think back to our Condolfo Forge Master? The part of the line, the second card you tutor after tutoring the first card with Mirror Battlefield is with Condolfo Forge Master is Mirror Battlefield. Mirror Battlesphere. Say that 5 times fast. Mirror Battlefield. Mirror Battlefield. Mirror Battlefield. No. When Mirror Battlefield enters the battlefield, create 4 1/1 colorless artifact creature tokens. This part of the ability, sure, if you're in a beats strategy, sure, you can do that. But the point of this card is that with this one card, it generates 5 artifacts, including itself in the 4 mirror artifacts. So it allows you to continually have more tapping and untapping fuel and sack fodder for your Condolfo Forge Master as you continue to do the line. It's just really powerful at getting that done, and kudos to the top performing pilot to finding this line. We would not be where we are today with this deck without it. Next is Mirror Welder. So it says tap. This is a 3 drop mirror, and it has a power of 1 and a toughness of 4, and it has imprint. Tap, exile target artifact card from a graveyard. So it is graveyard hate for artifacts, and Mirror Welder has all activated abilities of all cards exiled with it. So you can exile any artifact card from a graveyard. So if your opponents have a Golem Engineer, munch, bye. But it also is similar to Agatha Soul Cauldron, if you are familiar of that new card from the Wilds of Eredurain set, where you're able to take that amount of value and basically says all activated abilities. You can exile out Agatha Soul Cauldron and turn your your Mirror Welder into Agatha Soul Cauldron. And you can exile combo pieces as well from your graveyard to be able to do entire combos with Mirror Welder. One fun example is if you exile what is one? A voltaic construct and a metal worker. You're basically able to tap this, create mana, and then untap it for 2 mana because it's an artifact creature and create infinite mana with just Mirror Welder. And if you're also able to exile something like a Walking Blister or something of another artifact card that has an outlet effect, you're able to basically win the game with just Mirror Welder by creating infinite mana, untapping it, and then just shooting it for by adding infinite counters to it and removing those infinite counters. So really cool. All right, next is Phyrexian Revoker. Really good removal spell. They did a lot of this to have a fun fact to be Phyrexian. It was just a horror before, not horror but horror, but now it's a Phyrexian horror, so that's really cool. It was Phyrexian in the name, so of course. Basically this is cool because it does not get affected by our Torpor Orb, because it's an as it enters the battlefield not effect and not an ETB effect. Not when this enters the battlefield, like similar to Dockside and other things. So what you do is when this enters the battlefield, choose an island card name. So you can't choose the Gaia's Cradle or anything, but you can choose a Thrasios. And it says activated abilities of source with a chosen name can't be activated. Very good to flash in instant speed. There's a lot of effects in this deck that do a lot of things similar to this, and the only downside of this card is only has 1 toughness, so it's really easy to remove, but it's really good at instant speed because you don't have to commit it to the board. There's been games where I've passed turn, a person had their artifact tutor. What is that thing called? Artifact. What is it? Black artifact tutor. What is this? Yeah, this one right here. What is this guy called? It is, what is it? What is it called? Everyone in the chat right now is just screaming out at me. It's called this, Imani. It's called this. Yeah, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second as I... Oh my gosh, man. Let's see. What is this booker called? What is this thing called? Drop in the chat. Drop in the chat what it's called, and before we get to it, and you win a high five. Wishclaw Talisman. You can name Wishclaw Talisman on the end step before the turn, and you don't have to commit to it because maybe somebody will remove it. But if they don't remove it during the end step before the turn that the Wishclaw is used, because sometimes people will just play it, you are able to do it because Wishclaw can only be used during its controller's turn. So it's a really good way to just turn that tutor off nonstop and really just shut shit down like that. Nothing other than just the tutor, tutorable creature to hand that can be a stacks piece. Next is Rather Smothering. We have a lot of storm decks. We got Rockside, we got Rionia in some cases. We got a lot of decks right now that are doing a lot of stinky stuff with their life total and without. But no one has infinite life unless they're us. We can make infinite life, fun fact. But this basically says Rugged Smothering is a flyer. It is a 1/3, and whenever you cast a spell, whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 1 life for each spell they cast this turn. So if they really get everything going and they really get their engines going, this is a way to just shut things down. A fun thing that I actually just thought about in my head is you are able to basically set it up so if someone's in ad nauseum, you can either cast it on end step before they get their storm going, or you can set it up so that you let them play, cast the Rugged Smothering, and then while they're at low life, you lock them out of being able to cast any more spells. Even if they were to try to remove the Rugged Smothering without a channel effect, they're really fucked, and they won't be able to cast any more spells without insta-killing themselves. And that could stop an Underworld Breach line, possibly a Thassa's Consultation line, really put you in a very interesting spot. And because it's a creature, only Force of Will and Mindbreak Trap are able to stop this. So pretty cool. Next is Scrap Trawler. When Scrap Trawler or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return it to your hand. Target artifact card in your graveyard with lesser mana value. combo piece plus graveyard recursion. Currently debating over running this or not. This is part of the Croc Clan Ironworks combo. I adopted this one just from the original pilot that I got inspiration for this list. If you all know anything about that combo, I've been debating how useful it is. It's very card intensive, and it almost requires me to have like so many pieces on the board. At that point, I'm probably have drawn my whole library, and at that point, I'm probably already doing my thing. If I can be fully honest, I question whether it's worth it or not. Like even for graveyard recursion, I have other ways to get things out the graveyard, and this only being able to get something with lesser value, it makes it a little more situational. So it's like a 4 or 5 card combo, and I debate whether it's worth it and my viability to be able to pull off this combo at instant speed. So probably just need to know the benefits. Y'all let me know in the comment section down in the chat if y'all really love this combo. I probably might keep it in the deck, I might not. As of right now, I'm not really fucking with it, but that's just me. That's just my opinion. I'm just biased. I like clean cut combos, but keep going. Scrapyard Recombiner. Remember how we brought before? Metalworker is a construct. Well, what Scrapyard Recombiner says, first ability, modular. Don't pay attention to this. Basically, creature enters with 2+1/+1 counters. It's a 0/0. But this says basically tap, sacrifice an artifact, search your library for a construct card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Cool thing is I actually created off inspiration of Coldolph Forge Master, I actually created a 3-turn combo with this card where you tap it, you play it on the end step, untap, tap it on the next end step or at the best time to go find Metalworker, cast Metalworker the same turn, untap, then at your moment you want to tap at the moments of the best moment, tap it, go find a Voltaic Construct to make infinite mana with the Metalworker, go infinite, and then you can untap with the Voltaic Construct, which we'll get to that card soon. It basically says 2 to untap artifact creature. You're able to untap Scrapyard Recombiner again, go find the Walking Ballista, because Walking Ballista, fun thing, is a construct. So you're able to really just do a lot of really fun things with this and just really kind of just go crazy. So cool thing. It's a very, very good card actually. Is one of the 3 cards that when you play it, you are basically announcing to the table that I can win the turn in X amount of turns. And most people may say a 3-turn combo, is that viable? Please trust me, we haven't gotten to half of the stacks pieces in this deck. All the games I play with this deck, outside the reason that I just didn't know how to pilot it very well initially, the games get super, super long because most people, like, as long as you're playing the deck at instant speed, people make plans. And when you disrupt those plans with an instant speed stack piece, there's nothing they can do to stop you. Like, I promise you, like, it's ridiculous what this deck can do playing at instant speed. Just there's some stacks pieces you're going to want to play during your turn just to lock people out when they're tapped out. If like the whole table's tapped out, I got to just play it during your turn. But some stuff, it just is just debilitating to get down at instant speed. But we'll keep going. Phyrexian Soulless Jailer, Phyrexian Golem. Unfortunately, not a construct, so we can't tutor it to hand. But this is a very similar effect to Grafdigger's Cage. That is permanent cards and graveyards can't enter the battlefield, so it doesn't stop our Coldolph Forge Master. Fun fact, but we can also sack it to Coldolph if it did. It also says players can't cast non-creature spells from graveyards from exile. So it just says goodbye Underworld Breach combos, goodbye LED, goodbye Brain Freeze. Basically shutting that down. And because it's a creature, it's harder to counter and only costs 2 mana. 0/4, pretty good blocker, but it's also pretty tough to remove with that 0/4 booty. So Phyrexia all will be one really let us have like a really great card. Cool, I like it. If we keep going, Stone Cold Serpent. This is actually interesting tech that I talked to the original brewer and owner. It does a lot of different things and actually a couple of neat situations. So basically what this is an artifact creature that's a snake and it costs X to cast. And it says reach, trample, and protection for multicolored. And Stone Cold Serpent enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So you're able to put any amount of X into it, and it comes in with that many counters. So the immediate thing is it's an infinite mana outlet. It lets you kill players who don't have it allows you to kill players who have multicolored cards out and just go one by one, just start and kill things. But also, even if they have blockers, it has trample, so you can just one by one just start killing people. There are no multi-combat things in this deck, but it's an option. Say if you're walking ballista and your staff of domination is gone, this is an option. Slow and steady wins the race. That's option A. Option B is there is a way where you can use this as a tutor with Sanctum of Ugin. Sanctum of Ugin basically says whenever you cast a colorless creature spell with mana value, with converted mana value 7 or greater, you're able to search your library. No, if you cast a colorless spell with 7 or more mana value, you're able to search your library for a colorless creature card, and you can lose this basically. If this can be your outlet where you pay 7 or 8 into this, or even if you want to pay infinite into it, you can, but you'll be able to crack your Sanctum of Ugin, search up your Walking Ballista, and just go for the win from there with the remainder of the infinite mana you have. Really cool thing, and the funnest tech that the original guy actually told me about is this is actually the perfect blocker for one of the top decks right now, which is, what is that Esper deck called? Tivit. Basically, Tivit, if you are not aware, this is actually just, it's cracked. It's a very, very good thing, but it's a legendary creature. Sphinx, it is white, black, and blue, and it's a Sphinx rogue flying and has ward 3. You can't see it there, but it has Counseling's Dilemma. Whenever Tivit enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, starting with you, each player votes for evidence or bribery. For each evidence, investigate, vote. For each evidence vote, investigate, so you make creature token, and each bribery vote you make a treasure. So it's really, really, really good. But the coolest thing about it is it just automatically combos with Time Sieve, which basically says tap, sack 5 artifacts. So whether they give you 5 artifacts or you actually vote twice, so then it'll be 3 opponents and two votes from you. You make 5 artifacts, you tap Time Sieve, sack the 5 artifacts, kill, you sack those 5 artifacts you just created, go to the next combat, and just keep drawing 1 card at a time, or how many ever cards you get per turn, and just kill each person 1 at a time, and just kind of get everybody real low till you can just kill the rest of the table, and you just draw any artifacts to fit the gaps of the artifacts you lose once you kill people. The thing about this though, Tivit is multicolored, and it also is flying, and our boy has reach, and it has protection for multicolored. So even if we only need to flash this out for 1, we're able to pretty much shut down the Tivit combo completely, and it's really cool. We could always block with our commander, but this being able to just lock Tivit out from winning is just really powerful. And once again, can flash it in at instant speed. If they feel really frisky, and if we have already swung out our Liberator, or if they swing at us because they don't think we'll block or some shit, we can always flash in Stone Cold Slurping. Protection basically means it won't take damage from a multicolored creature and just get the job done. Really powerful effect. Next is Voltaic Construct. We brought this up a lot. This is a combo piece, and with a lot of things. We can see Karn right here in the corner. This combos with Karn and any 3 mana rock, or 3 or more mana rock, that basically creates infinite mana by you tapping the artifact for 3 and then untapping it for 2 mana. Or you can do it with Metal Worker right here, where you tap Metal Worker for a certain amount with two or more artifacts in hand, and then untap it for 2 mana, creating infinite mana. And this is an outlet, but it only is for activated abilities. It's not an outlet for that actually wins you the game. You actually will have to get another outlet, which actually brings us to our main outlet in the deck, Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista, it costs X and X, and Walking Ballista enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. You can pay for it to put a +1/+1 counter on Walking Ballista, and you can remove a +1/+1 counter to do 1 damage to any target. Basically meaning if you have infinite mana, pour it into Walking Ballista, kill the table. Period. And it's a creature, and it's a construct, by the way. We brought that up before, so you can go get it with your young where's that thing at? Nah, we've already passed it. You can get it with your Scrapyard Recombiners. So you can basically put together Metal Worker, Voltaic Construct, and Walking Ballista to be able to tutor all 3 of those cards and just end the game. Really, really fun. Lastly, we're getting close. I believe this is our last creature in the deck, Wandering Archaic. It is not an artifact creature, but it's a very good protection and just awesome spell to just gain value. We lose access to a lot of cards because of our color identity of being colorless. So basically, this avatar basically says whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, they may pay 2. If they don't, you may copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. So basically, and it's a 4 for it. Feel like this should be a flyer, but we're not going to play it. It's already a strong enough effect. We'll never be casting the back where each player looks at the top 5 cards of their library. You may reveal a land card and or instant sorcery spell from among them. Each player plays the cards they reveal this way into their hand, and the rest of the bottom of the library in a random order. Each player gains 3 life. We will never be casting this. Why? Because we are giving each of our opponents with better cards an instant or sorcery, and all we're getting is a freaking land. We only have 2 instants and sorceries in our deck. Do not cast the back of this card unless you are really trying to help somebody stop get counter magic. I don't know. I don't know. It's sorcery too. Well, I guess no, because of our commander, we can't cast it at instant speed. So I guess there is a point where, like, if there's like they'd be like, I only have a top deck tutor, or like, all right, cool, cast it. I'll get you I'll put that card into your hand. But you are giving each person basically in an instant or sorcery hand a card. So you may give someone a counter spell, but you also may end up giving another opponent, the person who's actually in the intention to be countered, another one as well. And gaining 3 life, depending on who the player is, if they're ad nauseum, may be a big deal. It's kind of like situational. I think what I'll say as my final verdict is, remember that this card is an option. Do not use it. Don't lean on this option. Let it be a last resort, but remember that it is an option. So it can be used. But most times, if you have this card, Wandering Archaic, hand, you're mostly going to end up casting it during your turn anyway to pass. And then when people are starting to cast instant sorcery spells, either it's going to be a stacks piece to make them pay 2, or it's going to be a value piece because now you get to copy everything. 2 Wheel of Fortunes, 2 whatever. Now, just so much that can get done. 2 Vampiric Tutors, 2 Royalty Tutors, just a lot of cool things. So we'll keep it going for now. We are moving on to our 2 instances in this deck. Technically, with Wandering Archaic, we have 3. And plus Karn, but yeah, we have 3 instants and or sorceries. This is one of our instants, Spatial Contortion. Target creature gets +3, -3 until end of turn. This basically says delete freaking Dranith Magistrate. All right, we're a very commander-centric deck. That's why we mulligan aggressively to a 1-2 turn 1-2 turn 1-2. I'm trying to remember what this commander is called. A turn 1-2 Liberator. So being able to get rid of Dranith, if we get caught under it, is just important, and it's an instant spell and it's colorless, so pretty good. Next is our other one. I've seen some decks that choose not to run it. I think it's pretty good. The first one is exile target creature with power and toughness 1 or less. That gets rid of your Esper Sentinels. That gets rid of your it gets rid of a lot of cool stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Power. It gets rid of actually Thassa's Oracle. It exiles Thassa's Oracle. It exiles Thrasios. Now that I'm just listing off, it exiles Rock's-Eye because it cares about only power and toughness of 1 or less. That's actually pretty good. Just really opening the door to you just being able to exile things. There's a second mode, counter target sorcery spell. That's the only mode I've used it thus far. The only thing I don't like about this is that mode is it causes you to be overly aggressive with your removal and interaction, which is it's fine, but it just forces you, like I countered a gamble. Like you can counter a Finale of Devastation. Like there's things that you can do with this, and it's just like, dude, like it. They probably won't know what's in your hand, but it's baitable. Like if they know what's in your hand, they can bait it out your hand because you always have the thing in your head. All right, if they cast in this sorcery spell and they end up getting something else that I can't counter. I mean, if they don't cast any more sorcery spells, I probably won't get another chance to cast a spell. It's similar to Mental Misstep, where if it's not a 1-drop spell, you'll be left thinking like, okay, is this the best thing to like remove, or should I wait and or go or do something else. Like it's really tough. So making that decision is just, you got to do dealer's choice. There also is the ability to create a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi creature token that has sacrifice add a color. So it has a little bit of ramp as well. If you just need to get right over the edge to perform a combo or to get out of stacks piece or set up to get out of stacks piece your following turn, there is that option. So really cool thing. I got to remember to put this into the ramp category, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to remember to that later. Moving into our artifacts, Arc of the Soul Cauldron. A lot of text, very powerful card. First of all, you can spend mana as though we're mana of any color to activate abilities of creatures you control. That means we'll just read the whole thing first, actually. Creature you control with a +1/+1 counter them have all activated abilities of all creatures exiled with the Arc of the Soul Cauldron. Our commander puts +1/+1 counters on itself, so that's really good, guys. And if we get it out early, which our deck really wants to do, we basically can exile something that automatically activate the ability of the creature. It's really, really good, guys. Okay. The last ability is tap, exile target card, not creature card, but card from a graveyard. When a creature card is exiled this way, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So that basically, if our commander didn't do what it does, which the fact it does is really cool, basically allows you to pump your commander. I actually had a situation when someone tried to lightning bolt my commander, and I said, well, in response, I'm going to cast Arc of the Soul Cauldron, and I'm going to tap this, and I'm going to exile a Kinnan from an opponent's graveyard. That did two things. Added a +1/+1 counter to our commander, so it became a 3/4, and then even though our commander, Arc of the Soul Cauldron's ability didn't trigger our commander, it was able to put a +1 custom counter on it to keep it alive. Because people, like, if they have a removal spell, sometimes they're just like, let's just get rid of this because this flash speed stack shit is for the birds. So it's kind of like you don't have to rush this out. You can sit back and just, okay, let me just wait till somebody removes it. Somebody does a damage-based ward wipe and just see how big I can make my commander and kind of get the things going. Excuse me. But the line just brought about where I just, one side I was able to keep my commander. I also was able to exile a Kinnan. So with infinite mana, I could activate Kinnan infinite times because of this first ability, allowing me basically to say I'm going to get every non-human creature onto the battlefield, which is all of my creatures. All of my creatures are non-humans. As we continue to move forward, we have Assault Monolith, combo piece, ramp piece. This is not a card you want to run out just randomly early game just to use it as a mana rock. This is a combo piece. If someone is willing, flash it out. I don't care if you have to tap, like flash out Assault to tap something else. Be careful because somebody can copy it. There's a lot of decks that use Assault Monolith as a combo piece, but just know, like, this is not a card you just want to lose. You know what I'm saying? It's just not that card. It's really, really good. We keep it moving. Chalice of the Void had some really good games with this stacks piece. It says Chalice of the Void enters the battlefield with X charge counters. This is another card. We talked about that Sanctum of Ilgrim combo where if we have infinite mana but we don't have outlet but we have Chalice of the Void, we can cast that Chalice of Void where X equals 7 or more, tutor out the Walking Ballista, and then put it into our hand and then cast it for infinity. So it kind of works with Sanctum to be a tutor. And then what it basically says, whenever a player casts a spell with mana value equal to the number of charge scatters, excuse me. Whenever a player casts a spell with mana value equal to the number of charge counters on Chalice of the Void, counter that spell. A lot of people just automatically put this on 0. I've been playing around putting this on 1 and actually been having a lot of success with it. Shutting off all 1-drop spells is super powerful and seldomly actually slows us down because it more slows our opponents down because we turn off all of the 1-drop tutors, all of the 1-drop counter spells. Like someone even had to get creative to stop a spell by casting Flusterstorm, allowing the original copy to be countered and allowing the storm afterwards to counter the spell. And just, it's devastating. It on 1 you can shut decks down completely. cEDH has a very low mana curve, and just shutting off all 1-drop spells it's just tough, man. What you can do is some things to keep around is it counters the spell. It doesn't stop them from casting it. So one thing that I did back when I was running Rionia is I would cast spells knowing they were going to get countered, but I was just getting my Rionia storm count, instant sorcery storm count up. So it doesn't stop people if they need the cast trigger or if they just have to increase storm, but it does stop spells from resolving. So very, very powerful. Next, Citadel Flute. This is our third and last. If we see this card in the hand, we know we have a win. It's basically Citadel Flute says you can pay X, tap it, search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Basically, what you could do is you draw a Citadel Flute, you pass a turn at the most opportune time, maybe just at the end step before your turn starts. You're going to tap 5 and cast Citadel Flute, and immediately tap it for 0, putting Walking Ballista in your hand. You will untap for turn along with Citadel Flute, and then you will pass turn at the most opportune time or the end step before your next turn. You're going to pay 3 into Citadel Flute to get Metal Worker, and you'll pay an additional 3 to cast the Metal Worker. You have Walking Ballista still in hand. You need one other artifact in your hand, just a prerequisite. You're going to keep going, untap for your turn. At the most opportune, you are loaded up to basically win. Next time that you need it, you're going to tap 4. You're going to tap 4, activate Citadel Flute, get Voltaic Construct, and then you're going to activate Metal Worker, showing Walking Ballista, Voltaic Construct, and one of the other effect in your hand, creating 6 mana. Oh, how much does Voltaic Construct cost? 4. Oh, well, I just did the math wrong. How much does Voltaic Construct cost? Oh, 4. Okay, how much does it cost to activate? 2. That means now you have Walking Ballista and one other artifact in hand. You tap Metal Worker for 4, untap it for 2, go infinite because Metal Worker doesn't have summoning signets because you cast it on your end step of your last turn. Make it create infinite mana, and then you put it into the Walking Ballista that's already in your hand. GG, Nori, whatever you want to call it. You can also use the, because this is not an artifact creature, you cannot untap it with your Voltaic Construct, but you only need 3 taps to win the game. The construct line is currently our only pure creature line, but it's just super powerful. And this also is a great way to tutor out stack pieces from your deck. We have Clock of Omens, one of the most cracked freaking cards in this deck. This is just ridiculous. From untapping our 3 mana rocks, Grand Monolith, Basalt Monolith, Mana Vault without us having to pay mana. It can be tapped itself when you first cast it to first get that first ability. It's so fucking good. Untaps any artifact from your artifact creatures, your commander to your other artifacts, your mana rock, your metal workers. It just does it all. Great fucking spell. If you're my opponent, I would say counter it, but at the same time it's a combo piece, but it's sometimes it's just good to get it out for as a value piece. I'm just being honest, it's just really good. It's really, really good. So you can counter it, but it's kind of like your opponents, even if they counter it, they'll get rid of a combo piece, but most people don't want to waste a counter spell because there's a limited number of counter spells that can really get across the finish line with this. That being, can get countered by Force and Will, Force and Negation, Fierce Guardianship, and Mind Break Trap. Okay, and of course, Offer You Can't Refuse can hit non-creature spells. So these are precious counter spells, and it doesn't get hit by other instant and sorcery spells that you get hit with. So it's just something to think about. Next is Codex Shredder. Very, very good card. This is the funniest card in the world. All the exile top card of the library effects are so funny. Basically, what it does is it is a combo piece. If you have infinite artifact untaps or permanent untaps, you're able to mill all your opponents out. But the thing is, though, also you never play this during your main phase. Never play. I don't care if you're doing a turn 2, like you got turn 1 Soul Ring and turn 2 with 4 mana, or you only have 3 mana. I don't care. This is the instant speed gotcha card. I'm vampiring tutor on your end step. All right. In response to your draw step, I'm going to cast Codex Shredder, or in response to your end step, I'm going to cast Codex Shredder. Mill that motherfucking card away. You'll get the people the first time, but it's so fucking good. I've got it. It was a Kennen player that I played against I think it was my first or second game I played this deck, where he top deck tutored in response, and he just got done saying, "Oh, slow start for Liberator," because I didn't even cast my commander yet. But basically, what I did was, all right, in response, still during your upkeep before your draw step, pay 3, cast my commander. He was like, "All right, fine, next." pay 1, cast Codex Shredder. He's like, fuck. And he knew he had a mana drain in hand, but he knew my opponents had a counter magic as well, and he didn't want to counter battle over that. He knew he wanted to counter battle. He wanted to have a counter battle over his Basalt Monolith to make the infinite mana, not the card that was going to get milled. So tough thing, but it's a great card. And also, if you have infinite recursion from your deck, you can return just regularly, just return target card from your graveyard. So more recursion. We've talked about this. We have other recursion in the deck. It does have to sacrifice yourself. So if you have a way to loop this, there is ways. You're able to return all your cards from the hand. A fun way to loop this is actually to put this with honestly the MVP of this deck, Rings of Bright Hearth, where you pay 5 and 2 more. If you have infinite mana, it doesn't matter. You activate this, return target card from the graveyard with let's just use these as an example. If this is your Codex Shredder and this is the Rings of Bright Hearth ability, copying the Codex Shredder ability, so this is the original ability and this is the copy. The original ability will sacrifice itself, go in the stack, and they'll be copied. So you'll return the target card, so you have to have one card in the graveyard starting off, and then the copy effect will return Codex Shredder to your hand. So now you can recast Codex Shredder, do it over again, and you can recur all the cards from your graveyard. Pretty cool. And also just an alternate win condition. I had to look far to find this one. The toughest thing I would also say about this deck is outside of the snake that casts X, all of our win conditions are targeted abilities. So if they can make themselves hexproof or have protection for everything against the card that was running, the One Ring, you can't kill them. But the cool thing about this is because we operate at instant speed, we can just kill them on our upkeep in response to everything they do. So it's a pretty cool thing. Keep it going. Dampening Sphere. Be careful with this land. We have a lot of lands from Ancient Tomb to Mishra's Workshop to so many lands to tap for more lands. But this is a great anti-storm card. It basically says if a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces colorless instead of any type of mana. So that doesn't hurt us. Actually, it just makes colors, make our lands tap for colors, what they already do. And each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each spell they player casts this turn. So it basically stops you from storming off. If we have infinite mana, it doesn't really matter. Be cognizant though, if you can be hurting yourself more than your opponents. You really want to do this more at instant speed. You don't want to just cast it unless it's a real situation where you don't have any lands that tap for more, and you know that if the opponent taps, they'll have access to counter magic that can stop this. So it's just something to think about. As we move forward, Expedition Map is a really cool thing that combos with Rings of Bright Hearth to be able to get you. There is a land combo in this deck that we'll talk a little bit about before, but you can Rings of Bright Hearth this activated ability to get 2 lands. There is a 2 land with Rings of Bright Hearth and 2 lands. You can make infinite colors mana. The 1 land taps for 4 mana. You pay, and then you 1 land that untaps a target land for 1 mana. So you tap it for 4 mana, untap it for 1 mana, and use Ring of Bright Hearth 2 mana to basically pay 3, so you'll be left with 1 mana, make infinite mana. Really cool combo. Also lets you get any land to your deck, which is just cracked. I'm gonna be honest, we have a lot of utility lands. We are running 29 lands to this deck, so just be cognizant that there's a lot of cool cards in this deck. So we'll keep it going for now, but one of the 8 tutors in this deck, and I would love more colorless tutors. There are some colorless tutors that are a little more expensive. Not currently running them. Just talk to other pilots, heard some opinions, and I'm just going to try out with their ideas. But as we continue to move forward, if you all decide to pick up this list and find other tutors that are viable that I may not be running, check them out and send me a message. Forsaken Monument, cracked card. Colorless creatures you control get +2/+2. Cracked. Whenever you tap a permanent for colors, add an additional colors. This is cool because this is actually creating the colors. It's not causing your lands to tap for 1 more. This is actually a mana ability, so you can actually technically find this with a not manifold key, but with your, it's another artifact that taps, pays 2 to cast it, tap 1, go find an artifact card with a mana ability. So this is technically a mana ability because this card is generating the colors, and it says whenever you cast a color spell, you gain 2 life. Actually pretty helpful because if you're storming off in a turn, and with cards that with the Shieldred card that is becoming more and more popular in the cEDH community. This basically just says, okay, every time I was doing 1 ring triggers and losing a bunch of life and then gaining a bunch of life because I kept storming off. So I just was basically netting even on my life loss, but was able to really do some fucking nasty shit with it. It combos with Basalt Monolith. So Basalt taps for 4, untaps for 3, make infinite mana. Or you can do Rings of Bright Hearth with Grim Monolith, I believe. So Grim Monolith taps for 4, pay 6 to untap it twice, so you'll make 8 mana, netting 2 each time. And it doesn't combo with Mana Vault, but it just has a lot of combos with it. But cleanest thing is Basalt Monolith for sake of monument, make infinite colors mana. Plus, it also, fun fact, this ability, there's times where you can add, if you go for, in the Kodotha Forge Master line that we talked about before, if you go for a Forsaken Monument, then a Basalt Monolith to make infinite mana, infinite colorless mana, if you tutor Walking Ballista onto the battlefield, this actually allows it to not die to state-based actions. So because it won't be a 0/0 on the field, it'll be a 2/2. Keep it going. Godfair statue, pretty cool. I haven't had a game that I played it in some of my playtest games where I'm just fishbowling the deck, basically. Goldfishing the deck. I get it out and like I can see how it could be viable. It's really good. Called making your opponent's spells cost 2 more to add. At the beginning of instant, each opponent lose 1 life. I can see how if you take infinite turns, this can be GG for them. I don't have the infinite colorless turns combo in this deck. Just didn't think it was the best thing. Personally, it was a little mana intensive. It was just like, not really my cup of tea. But the simple fact of your opponent's spells costing 2 more to cast can really shut a game down. Think about, basically, it's close to Trinisphere. A Soul Ring costs 3. It's basically a 6 mana Trinisphere. And just another option for stacking asymmetric stacks piece that hurts just your opponents. Next is Grab Digger's Page. This stops creature cards in graveyards and libraries from entering the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. So it does stop your Mystical Forge, similar to your Phyrexian Golem or whatever not. And you would think it stops Kodotha Forge matchup because it is an artifact. Right here, you can sack it to the first Kodotha Forge Master ability to start the combo. So you could stop your opponent and then sacrifice it to your own ability to do your own combo. So it's basically asymmetric and really only hurts your Mystical Forge lines, which, if you know you're going to do that, just be cognizant about these abilities, these Grab Ticker Cage-like abilities that can really hork you. There's 3 of them in the deck. Just really think before you play your own stacks pieces. Grim Monolith, combo piece, ramp. Pretty simple, gets the job done. Jeweled Lotus, great opening card in your opening hand. In the late game, you can use Clock of Omens to tap Jeweled Lotus to untap target permanents. So it's never really a dead card as long as you have Clock of Omens and certain other sack effects. You can also sack this to your Kodotha Forge Master or your Contract Tutor to basically just really go in. So it's never really a dead card. It always has some type of utility. In my games I've done thus far, I've only had to recast Liberator once per game. I've never had to cast Liberator twice. Usually at most we get killed 1 time or exiled, sitting back to command zone, untap for turn, wait till I have to interact to just get it going. Card and Silex, I actually have not got to cast this spell. This is one of the only 2 board wipes in this deck. So it enters the battlefield tapped. When I talked to the original pilot about what they were thinking, they basically said this is the ability that you want to stop people. Players can't pay life to cast spells or activated abilities that aren't mana abilities. So basically, you are shutting off Toxic Deluge. You are shutting off the Razaketh lines. You are shutting off a lot of different things that cost life to activate. It is a stacks piece, a very niche stacks piece for the current meta, which is a lot about paying life. Some things, though, it's just good to kind of just know what's in people's hands. We have 1 card where we can basically Thoughtseize our opponent. Not Thoughtseize, but we can look at their hand and then choose to shut a card off on the battlefield or in their hand. But it's kind of like you never really, like, it almost is you got to be early to cast it, but at the same time, this last ability kind of makes it scary. You could pay X, tap it, exile Card and Silex. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X or less. activate only a sorcery. This is the line that kind of takes this card a little less because you can't do this at instant speed. So basically, you can cast it as a stack speed during an opponent's turn, but the minute you untap, people are going to be looking at you kind of crazy. Not to mention, if you activate this for 3 or less, unless you have infinite mana, you're going to end up destroying all your shit. You can do it for 2 or less or 1 or less, but it will kill your 0 mana walks at the lowest end. You can kill your 1s and your 2s and your 3s. So just understand this is a symmetrical board wipe, and unless you're about to lose the game, I wouldn't really lean on trying to just lean this as a board wipe, but it's an optional board wipe in case of emergency. Karn is our guy, though. You could see him here, still here in the corner. Karn is just the guy. If he could be the commander, he would be. As we keep going, Clark Clan Ironworks. This is a combo in this deck. I tried it out. I've played with it a little bit. It's cool. It is a way to remove your own stacked pieces if they're troublesome to you, and it's a combo piece. It's just an extensive combo. Currently thinking about whether I want to keep it in the deck or not. It's not a bad card. It's just not really my flavor. I like cleaner combos that take less cards, or cards that when I get this one combo, it gets all the pieces. When I get this one card, it tutors all the pieces of the combo, whether it be 1, 2, or 3 turns. This deck usually is about 2 to 3 turns. Use my stacks to force the game to go that long, and this card is just, there's no card that I can use to get this entire combo. I have to draw my entire deck, but at that point I'm usually winning. I've heard some storm ability with this card. I haven't experienced it yet, so I want to experience it before I knock it, before I try it. But there's too many pieces, and it feels a little too RPG is where you got to get lucky to stumble upon this value engine combo piece. So Lotus Petal, ramp, pretty straightforward. Mana Crimp, ramp. It actually combos with a couple things as well. There is a combo where if you go to my primer, you can see a combo where you can use Mana Crimp. So it's cool to know Mana Crimp is a combo piece. Mana Vault, combo piece with the Karn Great Creator and all the other cool stuff, and Voltaic Construct. So yeah, cool. Great with Clock of Omens, great with Unwinding Clock. We'll get to that card eventually. Manifold Key, very good card. Making your own creatures not being able to be blocked, it would seem like it'd be super useful, but it's actually not really that often used. Not to mention the biggest thing to remember about this card is untap another target artifact. So you actually can't go infinite with this card unless you have 2 untap another artifact effects, which it can be manifold keyed, and we're currently running testing out Sonic Screwdriver from the Doctor Who set. So if you have both of those in the field, you can go infinite with them because they can untap each other. But if you only have one or the other on the deck, then you're kind of only able to untap one thing. Still a very good card, just not able to untap itself. As we keep going, Mask of Memory. I love and hate this card. I love the card drawing colorless. I'm not really a huge fan of the equipment in this deck because it forces you to commit mana during your turn at sorcery speed, because you can't. You only can equip as a sorcery. If you could equip at instant speed, oh my god, that'd be so fire. But it's not Hammer Design. Maybe I gotta run that. I don't know. Basically, this says when an equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw 2 cards. If you do, discard a card. Basically, you don't play your land drop. Go to combat. Play it on your end step before your turn. Don't play your land drop. Go to combat. Hit somebody. Draw 2. Discard a card, and then play your land drop. And it's great card advantage. You basically get to net 2 cards per turn cycle, and that's really good in a stacks deck that is locked in instant speed, and you never have to commit anything onto your board other than equipping this mask and actually playing your land. So it's just really good. Great card advantage. Mirage Mirror, this is a combo piece, it allows you to copy whatever you like. I have a dream snare in my mind where I'm able to copy a heuristic study and basically try to combo off and let people draw me into cards. But since I don't have that many counter spells, it seems fun. Or like it's a thing where on the permanent storm turn, I can like copy their heuristic study and make them draw me a bunch of cards, and it just go fucking crazy. It's just a good combo piece. You can kind of layer. Remember that the minute this ability resolves the first time, you can't activate it again until your next turn. Until the next turn, not your, but the next turn. So if you have to do multiple activations, like say if there's a Thrasios aboard and a Basalt Monolith, you have to pay 2 to target the Thrasios, and the whole priority pay 2 target the Basalt Monolith, make infinite mana, whether it be with Forsaken Monument or Rings of Bright Earth, make infinite mana, then let the second ability resolve, turning it into a Thrasios to basically put your whole deck into your hand. So just something to keep cognizant about. Moon Silver Key was the card I was talking about. You can tutor Forsaken Monument. This card basically says pay 2 to cast it, pay 1, sacrifice Moon Silver Key, another great Rings of Bright Earth target, to search your library for an artifact card with a mana ability or a basic land card, reveal it, put it to your hand, then shuffle. With Rings of Bright Earth, you can do basically pay 1, pay 2, then pay 2 to copy the ability to search up Forsaken Monument and Basalt Monolith. Or since you already have rings on the battlefield, you can get Grim Monolith and what's the other card? Grim Monolith and Forsaken Monument. If your Basalt is already gone, and basically Grim now taps for 4, and you untap it twice for 6. And it's just a lot of cool stuff. We don't run any basic lands in our card deck, so you'll never be looking for a basic land. But there's a lot of mana ability stuff. So cool. One of the 8 few tutors in this deck. So. Next, Mox Diamond Ramp, Mox Opal Ramp, really cool because our commander is an artifact. You don't have to find 3 artifacts. You only really need to find 1 other, and you can see how many were in the artifact section for now 30 minutes. You'll find another artifact. Don't worry. Next, Mystic Forge, really cool card. It's scary as fuck because it reminds people of Bolas's Citadel. If you're not familiar with that card, Bolas Citadel says. Basically what that card does, as we pull it up, Bolas' Citadel is a better version where it basically says it's a legendary artifact. You may look at the top part of your library and you may play land cards and cast spells from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equals its mana cost rather than pay its mana cost. And you can tap it, sack 10 non-land permanents, each opponent loses 10 life. So no one really uses that one in cEDH, but it's a thing. What this one says though is you may look at the top card of your library at any time, and then you may cast artifact spells and colorless spells from the top of your library, and you pay 1 to exile the top card. Where this tap ability, where the other tap ability lets you make them lose 10 life, more of a black mana color identity thing. This one lets you exile the top card. This does not let you play lands. So if you get land fucked, that's where when you feel like if you hit a land on top, unless you have a way to draw past it, that's where this exile the top card. It does not let you play that. It does not, like it, if I read this, if the top card of your library changes when you cast a spell, playing a land, or activating ability, you can't look at the new you never cast land card. It's where it doesn't allow you to play. Yeah. Oh, that's fine. You can't play artifact land cards. You cast. Yeah, basically, it says exile top card of your library. It doesn't say play it. Oh, and also I have to remember to pay 1 life. I have to remember to pay 1 life. That's freaking what? Does that actually non-bow with our Karn Silex? Now that I look at it, Karn Silex. Players can't pay life to cast spells, or this actually stops Bolas' Citadel as well. That's what I remember. Oh, I forgot. Or the activated abilities or mana. Yeah. So that's cool to know. It stops Bolas' Citadel. It's really powerful effect. But it does stop our own exile effect. I never really use the exile effect. It's just that. It's just there. The couple of times, 2 or 3 times I've cast a spell, one time I actually got countered because it died. Like, I wasn't trying to combo with it, but it's a high value piece because now I have 2 sources of cards in my library and my hand. So it's just a lot of value when I'm a stacks deck. So I understand. Pithing Needle, another effect to just basically as it enters, choose a card name. Activated abilities of sources with the sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. You can't name lands, but you can name a land if you want, but you can't name lands, and it's just a tough thing. Well, you can name lands. You cannot shut off mana abilities. You can shut off other name like cards. So like, if my opponent was also Liberator, I could shut off their land-based combo. So, yep. Portcullis. This is a fun card that is actually, I intentionally run this because of my own Rionia deck. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if there are 2 or more creatures on the battlefield, it's a 4-player game. There's going to be 2 or more creatures. exile that creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner control when Porculus leaves the battlefield. So it's not a hard lock if they have artifact removal, which Abrade, Boseiju, Odawara. There's a lot of ways to remove it, but the minute Porculus is on the battlefield, people the biggest combo is a lot of combat-based combos. You stop Najila from making warriors. You stop Reunion from taking tokens. You stop World Gozer Dragon from entering the battlefield. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if there are 2 more, so it actually would be entering the battlefield, but it exiles it. So it actually, with the World Gozer Dragon, I think it exiled. I don't know, like World Gorger Dragon. I don't know. Let me see. World Gorger. Let me see. Yeah. Whenever World Gorger enters the battlefield, exile all permanents you control. When it leaves the battlefield, return under their owner's control. So the way this basically says is it will immediately leave, exile that creature. So it won't lock them out the game, but it will do a thing. So yeah, that's just a thing to think about. That's actually like, when does this, when it leaves the battlefield, return the exile cards to the battlefield under their owner control? There's a way to actually, if they're doing the combo, to disrupt that at certain points, to have all their permanents be exiled. So it's just a thing. Can't remember. I'm currently playtesting this card over another card that was in the original list. It's just another effect to flash in, stop top deck tutors. It's another way to exile a top card of their library. Instead of milling it, it exiles it. So if you have infinite untaps, you can exile every player's deck, including yourself. So be careful. But you can pay 7, sacrifice power. Pyxis of Pandemonium. Each player turns face up all cards they exile with Pyxis of Pandemonium, then puts all permanent cards from them onto the battlefield. Since we have such a permanent focus test, this will serve us the highest, but it can give our opponent the win. So just be cognizant about it. It's just a thing to think about. Most people have a lot more less permanent base, but if we exile our whole deck, we're probably going to end up winning the game. Rings of Brighthearth. This is the MVP. This deck is full of activated abilities, and there's actually another creature that is in the sideboard. It's another avatar. It's another archaic card that basically says pay 1 and does what Rings of Brighthearth does. No, it's not. Yeah, let me see. You may choose. Yeah, let's just do this one. It's within the colorless identity, if I can find it. Yes, there it is. Abstruse Archaic, and basically pay 1, copy target activated ability or triggered ability. Funny thing is, this only touches activated abilities. This triggers triggered abilities, so it can double your Rings Hard by her if you want. You may choose new targets for the copy. So the cool thing about both of these things, I'm not currently running this, but been thinking about it a little bit, is if you do the math, there are 41 activated abilities in this deck that just do the thing. It's really, really cool. Rings of Brighthearth is actually a card that at first I was thinking just wait till I'm comboing with it. It's such a good value card. If you have it early in game, I would just play it, and it allows you to double all of your activated abilities. So if you have an activated ability on a land, if you have an activated ability for Karn the Great Creator, you can get rid of 2 creatures, or you can make 2 creatures artifact creatures, like combo your thing and get rid of one of their things. It's so good at doing what it does. It's just powerful. So card that I'm actually going to start playing earlier in the game and not waiting for the combo piece. Even if it means it gets removed, it's a super high value piece. I just want to see how that play pattern works. Sculpting skill combo piece. It is basically part of the Godolpho Forge Master. You go get Clock of Omens, Mirror Battlesphere, get Sculpting Steel, copying Mirror's Battlefield, win the game. Really good. I've copied a 1 ring recently with it, and it's just such a good card. With the 1 ring being in our meta right now, this card is actually pretty fucking cracked. We'll keep it going. Sensei's Divining Top. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. This is it. You put them back in the order. You can tap and draw a card that puts Sensei's Divining Top on the top of the library. This actually combos with Mystic Forge and a mana reducer. Basically, you have Mystic Forge, Sensei Divining Top, and a mana reducer on board. The mana reducer makes everything cost 1 less. So Sensei Divining Top cost. It costs 0 to cast at that point. So you tap it, put it on top. You'll draw a card, and you just draw your whole deck, get all your free mana, upchuck your hand, and just do your do. You can also do double. You can basically also activate the ability with Rings of Bright Hearth and Battlefield to double draw. So you'll tap it to put the ability on stack, copy it with Rings of Bright Hearth. You'll draw a card and the Sensei Divine on top to recast Sensei Divine on top and do it over and over again. You could do that pretty easily with Rings of Bright Hearth. So you could draw the deck out, and it's just on average, it's good. Urza Saga target is just pretty good. Very, very, actually very good. Soul Ring ramp. There's a combo that actually works with it, so it's cool to know your Soul Ring is a combo piece too. Sonic Screwdriver, talked a little bit about it. It's basically Manifold Key plus a mana ability plus the ability to scry one, which is pretty good. It kind of lets you get that card selection. So I would continue to just see this card as a high possibility for some real cool stuff to happen, but just be cognizant that it costs 3 mana. So I'm liking it thus far. May take it out, may not, but it does synergize well with Manifold Key. With if they're both onto the battlefield, they're basically a voltaic key, because one can untap another, one can untap another, and they can just go infinite. It's really cool. All right, as we keep going, Sorcerer Spyglass. Been waiting to hit this card. I fucking love this card. I did the coolest play the other day. This was the sort of card that I used to pay 2. I was able to look at one of my opponent's hands and then actually stop someone else's. Oh my God, we're not gonna go back to what is that black artifact tutor called? Oh no, don't do this to me. No, the memory goes first, guys. It's the memory. Oh no, I'm not gonna speak that of my life. Where is that card called? What is that card called? What is that card called? What is that card called? Witchclaw Talisman. So I was able to look at the 5-color Kenrith deck's hand, saw he had a Boseiju, so I didn't win, and I had a card in my hand and the Torpor Orb, so it allowed me. It was just really, really cool. And if I knew how to play my deck better, the game became really long, and we had 2 people just drop because they just. One guy because he had to go, and the other guy was just like he could. There was a Torpor Orb and a Karn Grave Creator. He was the Kenrith deck, dockside deck. He was not going to win, so he just quit at sorcery speeds. But this card is really great because of how it's worded. It is as it enters the battlefield. Look at the top at an opponent's hand, then choose any card name. I could choose any card name, so I'm not constricted to just that opponent's hand, but it just gives me free information and activated abilities. Sorcerers with chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. It's really, really good. Spear Resistance stacks piece, really good. Recognize that it hits all cards. It costs 2 though, so play this cautiously. If you play it early, it probably is because you're going against a rock side. If you're going first, this is just something that's pretty good. Like if I go land Soul Ring into Spear Resistance, it allows me still to get out that turn 2 Liberator, but just kind of look at your hand and realize if you're tempoing yourself out. If you're going first, it may just be worth it because it completely shuts down their hands, but some decks may need the extra time. So you want to kind of think about this. I usually will prioritize a Liberator over just casting this, but I just think about it before. You really got to think before you do moves in here, because you can shut yourself down with your own stacks piece. Staff of Completion, new tech from the new Fire Exia. Basically, it is similar to Staff of Domination, where instead of just untapping it for 1 and then paying mana to tap it, this one is paying life. This does get turned off by your Karn Silex, so be aware of that. But you can pay 1 life, destroy a target permanent you own, so you can get rid of your own stacks pieces. I really love that feature. It is something that you can actually get because it has a mana ability. You can actually tutor it with your Moonsilver Key. You can tutor this to hand with your Moonsilver Key. You can also tap, pay 3 to proliferate, and pay 3 life to proliferate, or you can tap, pay 4 life to draw. So if you have infinite life or you have a lot of life, for sake of monument, for whatever reason, you can just draw as many cards as you can and always untap it if you have infinite mana. So it's not infinite draw unless you have infinite life, but if you usually have infinite life, you probably have Staff of Domination. And speaking of Staff of Domination, tap 1 to untap the big brother, the OG version, the original, the infinite mana outlet. Basically, this basically says pay 5, tap it, undraw it, draw a card, tap 1, untap Staff of Domination. If you have infinite mana, you are drawing your entire deck, and if you don't fight, it wouldn't come with your entire deck in your hand. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Also allows you to get infinite life. It allows you to get infinite untaps on your creatures and taps on your opponent's creatures. So very, very good. I kind of cast this early game just to kind of get value, but paying 5 to draw a card is just so bad value unless I have like an unwinding clock or clock of omens on the battlefield. More favorable to unwinding clock, not really getting it. And then this being an outlet, you kind of want to wait unless you're trying to like set up a win or some shit like that. You just kind of want to wait on casting this. Sword, yeah. So I've talked about both these. Sword of Fire and Ice. Kinda, I'm not in love with these. I'm not in love with the equipments because you have to commit mana at sorcery speed. So if I'm low on mana and I have to choose between equipping my equipment or casting it, even though it gives me a card and does 2 damage to any target, plus gives me protection from red and blue, plus pumps it up to make it harder to kill, it just is really tough. It does have a triggered ability. Can't double that with a Rings of Power, but it's good. I like it. You can do 2 damage to any target and you can draw a card. So just things to think about as we continue to move forward. Oh yeah, just I wouldn't say remove it. It's just you just recognize that. I hope the card and the damage done is worth you not being able to be turned off for a turn. So that's just I'm just going to say that. That's my last end piece. Might Stone and Weak Stone, new tech from the Brothers War. The probably coolest mana rock in this deck. And yes, it is a mana rock that you can go get with your artifact with mana ability tutors. This basically says you can, when it enters the battlefield, you can either draw 2 cards. That's good. Or you can kill a Crom. This is the kill Crom. This is pay 5, give a creature -5/-5. Finito. Goodbye. No more. No. Poo poo. Bye bye. Goodbye. That basically is what it said. And you could tap it immediately after that to even get more mana to cast more stacks pieces. So it's really good. I like it a lot. One of my favorite plays is turn 1 to turn 2. Turn 1 to turn 2. Liberator and hold up from 5 mana. Wait till they fucking cast their Crom. Let them go into combat. Kill the fucking Crom. Just goodbye. And then have 2 mana afterwards to still cast another stacks piece or cast another advantage piece to keep the train going. I love this card. It is very much worth the 5 mana. It's just really good. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Next is the One Ring. Do we have to talk about this? Who doesn't? Does anyone not know what the One Ring does at this point? It's one of the best card draw engines. If you have infinite untaps for artifacts or permanents, it's basically drawing your entire deck. Be careful you don't kill yourself with the draw, but it's just really fucking good. When the One Ring enters the battlefield, it gives you protection. We actually can do that at instant speed. We just don't give people time to properly react to it, kids. So in response to infinite dual caster mages or infinite whatever fuck or Rionia combat celebrant, whatever, flash it at instant speed. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you pay 1 life for each bird encounter on the One Ring. And you can tap, put a bird encounter on the One Ring, then draw a card for each bird encounter on the One Ring. So be careful. You don't pay life for this, so it doesn't get stopped by Karn Stylex, but it can get out of control over time. I will say, though, the cool thing about it is that I actually had a game that I won where I was doing Clock of Omens tricks with it to untap it and tap it. That was the game I was talking about where I freaking cast Walking Ballista for X = 2, killed the Orcish Bowmaster, and just used the life gain in the storm to just draw a bunch of cards with the One Ring and kind of storm off, and at instant speed in response to my opponent's Karn, the Great Creator, which was fucking crazy. And then I won with my Karn on board. It was fucking really good game. Tomerlanges, pretty good. I enjoy this card draw effect because basically what it says, you flash it on the end step before your turn. You attack with your commander, and it basically when your commander is the battlefield or attacks, put a page count on Tomerlanges. You could pay 1, remove a page count for Tomerlanges, and draw a card. You don't have to commit the mana immediately. You can do it on your end step before your next turn, or you can do it on the turn of if you want to like dig a little bit deeper for a land drop. So I enjoy this card. I like it a lot, actually. Tormod's Crypt, Great card. Love that it's 0. Never play it at sorcery speed. Always play it at instant speed. The only thing is it targets players. So if they have deflecting SWAT, not that we care about like our graveyard getting exiled, but it can be deflecting swatted. So just be cognizant of that. Torpor Orb. Great card. No, enough said. Goodbye, Oxide. Goodbye, Thassus. That's basically what it says. Trinity Spirit. I've been loving this card. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna read this to you all because I'm actually getting a little tired. But I'm gonna be honest. It's just so good, and the fact that we have ways to tap it so it doesn't affect us when we're trying to do our things. It's so fucking good. Oh, I love this card. I love this card, y'all. Such a good stacks piece. Umajami's GT, another thing where I really love once you get it onto your commander, but the turn that you have to equip it, you're almost going shield down. So equip it on the turn where you can attack with it. You can give something -2/-2, so you can get rid of some key stacks pieces. Just Marionia deck gets rid of a fucking Combat Celebrant, gets rid of an Agila, gets rid of a Timna. It's really good. Just it's kind of tough to have the cast and equip, even if you're spreading it across the end step and during the sort during your main phase. It's still tough to commit 2 mana, which in some hands when we don't get those explosive turns, it's just tough. Unwinding Clock. Love this card when I have a bunch of 3 mana rocks that don't untap naturally. Really fucking good. I can attack my commander and then it untaps. Just a great card. Killer value card. Voltaic Key. This is the good one because it untaps itself. It's really good. You pay 1, untap target artifact, untap itself. Infinite untaps of all artifacts. This is the card that enables you to do really nasty things with your metal worker and other things along that line. Just really good. Voyager Staff. It is not permanent removal, it's temporary removal. It stops combos that can't be done at instant speed, so combat based combos, and also it can stop World Goger and other things like that. It's just a little limited. Keep it going. Weather Room Storm, similar, same thing. This one, actually be careful. Non-land permanents. This is better than Gravedigger's Cage, but be careful because it's better than Gravedigger's Cage. You can cut yourself with this, so just be careful. Welding Jar. I actually haven't had to use this ability. I've only used it as sack fodder to like Condotha Forge Master or like tap for Clock of Omens, but it just regenerates target artifact. We're full artifacts. It's really good. Now we're entering into the lands. Ramp. This is our second and only other board wipe. It's different card Silex because it destroys each non-land permanent with the main value equal to the number of charge counters. So it doesn't go equal and down, it just goes equal. So it comes in with 1, so you can all destroy all 1. Be cognizant. I do like this one board wipe more than card Silex because I can intentionally make sure that I get the least affected by this. I love this on 2 because it hits so many good things and really doesn't affect me too much because I can activate this and then cast my 2 drops. So goodbye Grim Monolith and Kennen and a lot of good stuff. So Buried Ruin, Graveyard Recursion. We got Graveyard Recursion. City of Traders. Sack land, but pretty fucking good. Oh, funny interaction between City Traders. We have another land that we'll get to it where it just basically says this one says when you play another land, sacrifice City Traders, and the other land says when it enters play, sack 2 lands or sack that land for 4 mana. It taps for 4 mana each for our land combo. So basically what it basically says at that point is that I looked it up online where if you play that 4 mana land, it basically will let you sack City of Traders and City of Traders ability will not resolve because the other ability is as it enters the ability, and City of Traders ability goes on the stack and it can be responded to the sack ability. But I like this land a lot. Command Beacon. We're a command centric deck. We got to be able to get our command there if we're locked under a under a Janeth Magistrate, or if we just want to pay 1 less and we want to avoid the first commander tax. Just something to think about. Crystal Vein Ramp. Deserted Temple. This is part of the 2 land, the Wings of By Hearth and 2 land combo where you could pay 4, Pay 1 to untap the land. You'll pay 2 with Rings of Brighthearth to copy this activated ability. Make infinite mana. Do your thing. Emergence Zone, if where commander is removed or if we flag and we just need another way to interact at instant speed, this is our backup land. I haven't had that situation happen up. I've talked to some people in the community and they've raved that this is a good card. I believe it. It's used in a lot of 3, 4, 5 color decks, so I'm not against thinking this is a viable card in the deck. I just haven't had the pleasure of being able to use it yet, but I'm looking forward to that day. Hopefully I don't have to. Like, y'all, don't kill a Liberator. Keeping it going, Gaia's Reach Sanitarium. It is anti-Thassa's Oracle, but it's also just card draw for us. And it also the little graveyard fuel for our opponents. We don't really need our graveyard, but we can set up some lines with our mirror, the mirror that taps and exiles things. So just a thing to think about. If you know, this is a puzzle deck. Basically, you're gonna see a bunch of random cards. Take the time to check out my primer, but also just take the time to really dissect the lines. Take your time when you play, and they'll become more, as you continue to play the decks and learn the lines, they'll become more transparent and easily viewable. Early ramp. I love this land. It's cool. The fact that it taps for a color of any color when you don't need it basically means it doesn't give you the mana you need for Forsaken Monument because it taps for color. So there are some times where I'll be going not first, and Gemstone Caverns is not really needed to ramp out because it requires me to sack a land, like to exile a card from my hand. So kind of just look at your hand, but most times Gemstone Caverns is great. Homeward Path, same thing. If you try to Gilded Drake me, I gotta take my commander back because sorcery speed sacks sucks. Vintage Fair, the best tutor in our deck, because this is the best tutor in our deck because it basically says if you have 3 or more artifacts on board, you can pay for search your deck for an artifact card, reveal it, and you can use Rena Brighthearth's ability to double this search. This gets any art. Hold on, y'all. Look at me, y'all. Look. Hold on. I need y'all to look at me. This gets any artifact in your deck. Any artifact. It gets any and every artifact in your deck. This is really, really good. Okay. Let's get back to the show. Okay. Just understand that it's getting any artifact in your deck, and that ability is very powerful. So
Don't say it. Don't you say it.
What's up? Appreciate it. Understand that this is getting any artifact in your deck, and it's just really fucking good. It in an artifact based deck, being able to get any artifact in the deck, whether it's a win con or hopefully you don't have to waste this on a stacks piece, is really good. And the fact that your commander automatically constitutes as one of the artifacts is really good. And I'm not gonna lie, the life gain in a long game is pretty good, even if it's only 1 life per turn. But usually when I play this for turn, I'm basically saying, oh, I'm going to win, because I never don't have the Metalcraft to activate this ability. Next is Mika Coral, Center of the Sea. Card draw, anti-Thassa's Oracle, good, all this good stuff. But be cognizant you're giving your opponent's cards. But I'm gonna be honest, when you're stacking out the board at instant speed, I haven't found this to be a super big problem. And there's other cards like War Room and other draw effects that really allow us to kind of bypass the fact that we have to give our cards maybe once or twice. We usually are just activating Mika Coral or other draw and discard land just enough until we get another draw engine online, and then we'll keep this untapped if we think there's a Thassa's Oracle consultation line coming. But outside of that, nah, yeah, it's not too bad. Just be cognizant. Mishra's Workshop. I love and hate this land, guys. Oh my gosh, I love that it gets your commander out turn 1, but the only thing is though, you can only use it to cast artifact spells. So you can't untap Grim Monolith, you can't activate abilities to equip your artifacts. It's very limited. You can't cast your Karn. There's just a lot of times where this is just not the land you want to have out. And when I have my land that taps for 4 mana, I'm not really in love with the thingy things. So just it's just something to think about. Oh, and thank you Twitch Legends so much for the 001. I really appreciate the follow, brother. All right, so just I love this land. It's just sometimes stuff, I'm not gonna lie. I'm Ominous Cemetery. I actually really love this land. It's a new land from the Doctor Who set that just came out a week or so ago, and I actually had a game where I used it, and it's can be double Rings of Bright Hearth. I really actually love this card. It just you pay 5, you tap it, tap it, you exile this land, and target creature's owner shuffles it into their library. It can be deflecting swap, but the fact that you can just get rid of a creature, putting it back in the library does mean they can tutor it back out, but it just gets rid of the problem for good. And the only thing better than this is exiling it, and in the library is pretty good. Unless you're going against my Rionia deck, where I will make copies of Goblin Matron and Imperial Recruiter and just get it back out later, it's usually not a problem. So I really love this card. Cavern of Souls. The guy who, when I first talked to him about it, usually put caverns on construct because our win cons are constructs. There's so many constructs in this deck. The majority of our creatures aren't constructs. Granted, our commander is a Thopter, so if we feel like our commander is going to get countered, it usually doesn't. I haven't had it happen to me yet, but that's just one thing to think about. Also, there may be a time where you want to do a golem. There are a lot of golems in this deck, so just kind of fill it out. But most times, if no else, just choose construct. Quicksand, haven't had the pleasure of using this land yet, but I've had it used. I've played against other people who have used it against me and my opponent's creatures. Really good. Rings of Bright Hearth thing can double this, but it just I read this and I hear goodbye combo piece, combat celebrant. Also, fucking goodbye Najila. Fucking love this card so much. Let's keep it going. Oh, and also Timna. Goodbye, Timna. Oh, I would lose this land any day. And it's target attacking creatures. So, yeah. Sanctum of Uvin, we talked about this. We brought this up. This says whenever you cast a colorless spell with mana value 7 or greater, you may sacrifice Sanctum of Ugin. If you do, search your library for a colorless creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. We bring up, there are some spells that have X X cost or just cost 7 or more. This basically turns Sanctum of Ugin, and like if we have Sanctum of Ugin on the field and we have like an X spell or a 7 cost spell, once we create that infinite mana, we can sack this and we cast one of those big spells or make an X spell large enough, we can find the Walking Ballista in our library. So it's a very, very niche line, and we just have to pay attention to our land base, because there's been times where you can miss it and you're saying, oh, I have the infinite mana, but I don't have a way to, I have infinite mana, but I don't have an outlet. But wait, I have this Mirror Battlespell, or I have this Cityscape Leveler. I can make infinite mana, cast the thing I want to, the big spell, sack the Sanctum move, and go find the Walking Ballista. Scavenger Grounds, do not sleep on this land. People forget that it's on the battlefield all the time. They will, and you will get everyone's graveyard. It's not target, you get everyone's graveyard. Really good. Scorched Ruins, this is the land I've been talking about. This is the one that kind of bypasses City of Traders sack triggered effect, but it says if Scorched Ruins would enter the battlefield, sacrifice 2 untapped lands instead. If you do, put Scorched Ruins onto the battlefield. If you don't, put it into the owner's graveyard. Cool thing is also that it's Thespian Stage. If you target this with Thespian Stage, Thespian Stage won't have to sack another land. You can just basically tap it and make another copy of it, and it's really good because there's no restrictions. The only thing is, though, it's just a little tough. Seeing in the opening hand means you basically have to have 2 other lands or feel confident enough that you can get your second land drop. The earliest it can come out is on turn 3, but by then you usually already have Liberator out, and it just is like a tap for 4. Get Karn the Great carried out. Sometimes I may wait a few turns to actually get it out, because some like having special utility lands that do really cool things, and you just don't want to lose them, because we don't run like a way to get our lands back out the graveyard. So just be cognizant before you play this. Just make sure you don't actually need the utility land you sack. Sequester Stash. I've actually used this land a little bit. It's pretty good. It's mill 5 cards, then put an artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you're not limited to only the 5 cards where like some cards say mill 5 and then look at those 5. No, if you know you have something in your graveyard, or even you just want to dig and look for an artifact card, you have so many artifacts, you're gonna hit one. Just pay for mill 5 cards and then just look in your graveyard if there's anything you want. So it's graveyard recursion. If you got infinite mana in this, you can basically get back any combo piece back to the hand. next to Strip Mine. This is how we get rid of those guys, cradles, and other lands that are problem emerging zones and all that other good stuff that may be problematic. It's just really good, and I run Wasteland and Strip Mine. Michael Synth Gardens, very good. It's very sleeper card. Basically, if you have an Unwinding Cloud, you can turn this into an artifact on the end step, into a Mana Crypt, into a Soul Ring, into a Grim Monolith, whatever you want, and then it will untap with all the other artifacts. The fact that it comes in and makes colorless, it does tap and make 1 mana of any color, so it does turn on those exotic orchards, but it's still really good. It gets the job done, and it's just really good. It gives you another artifact to sack to Kothotha Forge Master. It's very, very flexible, and the fact that it's a sphere is just cool. Thespian Stage, we brought it up. Now you both got to get creative with it because you do tap Thespian Stage as part of the ability. So there is some ways to kind of stack the ability where you turn Thespian Stage into a target another land, and then you can untap it with your deserted temple, or just kind of have some fun with it. There's some combos, but we don't run the Thespian Stage combo in this deck with the what's that? What's that one creature called? It's like the stage combo. We don't run the Thespian Stage combo in this deck purely because 20 damage is not enough to really... Dark Depths, that's what I'm saying. So we don't run the Dark Depths combo in this deck. Even though I've actually never thought about this, but it basically says Dark Depths is if it with 10 ice counters on it, pay 3, remove ice counter. When Dark Depths or ice has no ice counters on it, sacrifice it. If you do, create Merit Lage, a legendary 2020 avatar creature token with flying and indestructible. So it could still be removed because cEDH has a lot of bounce effects, but it's just I don't want to run a land that can't be tapped for mana. The fact that Thespian Stage taps for mana is just really good. If this taps for mana, even just one colorless, or had like a Enter the Battlefield tap, I would actually think about it. But as for now, no. Legendary Snowland, I'm good. We're getting near the end. We have an Underdark Rift. I've been debating on taking this land out. It was from the original deck that I got inspiration from. It tap 5, exile Underdark Rift. You roll a d10. You'll put target artifact, creature, or planeswalker into its owner's library beneath the top X cards of his library, where X is the result. Activate only as a sorcery. This line right here is the reason why I personally am not a huge fan of it. But the cool thing about it is if you know it's there, you basically, the biggest thing is I can see with this is the fact it gets rid of planeswalkers, and you can use it to get rid of your opponent's Karn the Great Creator and put it back in their deck. So just I can see utility for it, and I haven't removed it because I'm just waiting for a time where it also gets rid of artifacts as well and creatures as well. So it's just the limitation on sorcery is just not really my favorite thing. So been playing, still been playing tests, and haven't had a time where I wanted to be sorcery, where I needed to be instant speed yet. But we'll see. Most times I end up sacking it. Whenever I see it, I just end up sacking it to my Scorched Ruins. But we'll see. Urza Saga, pretty self-explanatory. Actually cool combo that I actually found with this. If you with the Scorched Ruins and Deserted Temple line, the line goes, you make the infinite mana with those 2 lands and Rings of Brighthearth, and then you use War Room to draw your entire deck. We'll get to War Room in a second, but you can also use Urza Saga if it's on 2 or 3. If it has 2 or 3 lower counters, you can make infinite 0/0 colorless construct creature tokens with this creature. It's +1/+1 artifact for each artifact you control. So basically, you just tap, untap with the infinite mana, and then you just get to make a bunch of construct tokens. It's also one of the 8 tutors in our deck. It is very limited on what it can get, but because of our deck building, we have a lot of great targets for it. So very utility land. Kind of be strategic with it. If you see yourself going for Deserted Temple, Scorched Ruins combo, kind of save your Urza Saga until you can get on 2. And if you're going to go for the infinite construct tokens, you want to do it on the end step before your turn, where you'll be able to immediately untap and not have an infinite constructs to give your opponents infinite mana. So just be cognizant of that. War Room, we just talked about it. This is really cool because you have to pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity to draw a card. we don't have any colors in our deck. So it's just basically pay 3, tap it, draw a card. And with infinite mana, it's just OD. And most of the time, if you have like a 3-mana rock and this on the battlefield and an unwinding clock, which happens pretty often, you tap it, draw a card during each untap step, and then just keep doing your thing. Wasteland, we talked about it, kind of similar to Strip Mine, where Strip Mine got rid of any land. This gets rid of target non-basic land. Biggest thing that I can think about this, Guile Creators, Emergent Zones, those lands that just are troublesome and you just want to get rid of them. So we'll keep going. Very last land is Zaffirin Void. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1. I love seeing this in my opening hand. There's 2 other versions that also tap 1 and tap it to make 1 mana of any color. I love this untapped scry land because it allows you to really set up your first or next play. That's why I love it in my opening hand. It's a great first land to play for turn. I will say that it is not the best land, but I just really like it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's just great. In a deck with not a crazy amount of card draw, there's been multiple games now where I've had no cards left in the hand and I've stalled out the game completely, and I'm just waiting to draw my next card. And Zephyrin's Void kind of helps out with that, whether it be played in the early game so I kind of get past the bad card, or played in the late game to kind of set me up for my next play. So. And that is the deck. We've moved into the sideboard, and I've pretty much done the gist of everything I want to do. If you all have any questions, please let me know. It has a pretty extensive sideboard of cards that I'm still thinking about including, but the gist of it is, it's a great deck. This is a newer deck that I've been working very hard on the primer and also on the list itself. If you're interested, check me out on Knoxfield at ThunderConductor. The_Thunder_Conductor. You can check my list out, Liberator, cEDH, ISD. If you're familiar with me, I did top 16 Mox Master in September with my Reunion Fire Dancer list. I believe in really finding these fringe deck lists and making them more than viable because I love a challenge, and Instant Speed Debris is my current challenge, and I'm having a blast with this deck. So if you're interested in this deck, come over to my list, give it a like, share it, have fun, but even more, join Twitch Legend 001 and let's get a follow on this page. I think what I want to do is I'm going to do a very, very quick play test. So I just usually get in here and just restart it immediately to see. So this one is a turn 2 Liberator. We have the Scrapyard Recombiner, and we have the removal, and we have this is actually pretty playable. I would actually keep this hand. This is our first 7. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to be honest. It's a turn 2 Liberator and hold up a Fraction Revoker or a Mask of Memory to set up for draw. So yeah, I would do this, and or rather Rootstone. It's pretty good. Yeah, I actually love this hand. So we would start off with a Wasteland, load this battle, and then we pass the turn. Then we have this Blast Zone. I'll play that for land. Add a counter, pass turn, always pass turn, and then at the opportune time or during the end step, I would crack 3, cast Liberator, and then I would untap for turn, play my land for turn, and then either go to combat or not, just depends. Drew Tormod's Crypt, so this is a great position just to stop, just to show you all the gist of it. At this point, I'm holding open Tormod's Crypt, I'm holding Mask of Memory, I'm holding Weathered Runestone, and Phyrexian Broker. I can cast a Scrapyard Recombiner, but I don't have any artifacts on board to cast it, and it's actually a little too early to cast this. What I want to do is I want to stack the board out first. I'm leaning towards Weathered Runestone. I'm also leaning towards Tormod's Crypt. This is for Graveyard Hate, more Graveyard Hate, but even more, this is Tutor and Graveyard Hate because it stops non-land cards from graveyards and libraries from entering the battlefield, and this is also my card draw. So if I don't, first thing I would probably want to do, if like no opponents really does anything that's super threatening, I would lead off with a Mask of Memory. If I have to though, if like they give me some to turn off, I'll flash in the Phyrexian Revoker, and if someone tries the Underworld Breach, I will go Weathered Runestone at instant speed with Tormod's Crypt backup just to get rid of that graveyard if they get a little frisky and find a way to remove Weathered Runestone. Not to mention, we do have the Gyre Saint. This is the cool thing about being in speed. We have Gyre Reach Sanctarium up to draw out a Thassus, or if we want to, we can add a counter onto our Blast Zone. But because of the number 2 drops we have, we probably don't want to get this on the 2 unless we were trying to go on the 3. But then that would probably kill our Liberator or our Scrappy RP Combiner. So let's keeping that at 1 is pretty good. We also have the Wasteland in case push comes to shove. But with that said, just remember, only thing is these are all 2 drops, so they would trigger Urza's Liberator's second ability to trigger, because these all are 2 mana artifacts that will trigger Urza at 1 power. So, yep, let's try one more hand. Let's check our first 7 out. Ooh, we're just getting great hands. Mishra's Workshop, Mana Vault, and Mana Crypt. Is this this is a turn 2 God Pharaoh statue with a turn 3 Kodotha. Got a rings and a welding jar to back everything up, and we just need 1, 2, 3, 4. We just need more artifacts to be able to sacrifice to Kodotha, but with Rings of Brighthearth, we may be able to cheat on that. Yeah, let's check this out, dude. All right, so what I'm seeing is this is a keep. Draw, play Mishra's Workshop, pass. On the end step, I would tap this, flash, and Liberator. If there's some other shenanigans, I actually would knock this out as well. Flashing in Mana Crypt, I'm going to flash in a Mana Vault, and then I would untap for turn. Go to my next turn. We just drew the fucking outlet. This hand is fucking cracked, y'all. Bruh, type the dubs into the chat. This hand is fucking cracked. So basically at this point now, we do move at instant speed. We navigate at instant speed, but this is a time where I actually would break my own rule. I would play the Homeward Path, and I would actually just at sorcery speed cast 2 things. I would just cast for 6 mana. I would cast God Pharaoh statue to basically lock them out. This is a turn 2 God Pharaoh statue, triggering Liberator because it costs 6 mana. This would not tap either, doesn't untap, and it basically says at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses 1 life, but all their spells cost 2 more to cast. So now I have my Welding Jar to back up this. I have my Kodotha as my win con, and I also have this rings. I would pass turn, and on the end step, I would tap this, and I missed my crypt trigger. Let's do that. Player, flip a coin, tails is safe. Tails is safe, so I want to lose life. On the end step, I will cast this Rings of Brighthearth, and so I would untap for turn, going to turn 3. Now we have Umansama's Jite. I like seeing this not because it's Umansama's Jite, but because I need to get the 6 artifacts, and I think that actually gets me there. I want to keep the God Pharaoh statue on board, but what I'm seeing right here is that with the I lost a life to my Mana Vault on this turn 3. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I may actually use this as my 6th one because I can find another line. I don't need to go Walking Ballista as my outlet, but as of right now, I really like what I'm seeing here. So what I can do is I need 5 mana for Kodotha, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I will actually think I'm gonna do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I'm gonna do is this is what I'm gonna do on end step. So I would, this got triggered because of Ring of Brighthearth. I would pass turn, Kodotha Forge Master on end step, trigger Liberator, and then I would untap for turn. Okay, that's my 6 artifact. That's great. Okay, so now what I would do is I would tap for 3. Now at this point, so you're all aware, we have an instant speed when set up on turn 4. Great hand with this turn 2 God Pharaoh statue. So basically what we would do at instant speed, I could flash them Mirror Mirage. I could turn this into another artifact, turn it into whatever the fuck I want to, but I really don't care about turning anything. What I really want to do is flash in also this Umezawa's Jite. So what I would do now is I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I can actually sacrifice my commander as part of this combo because I'll be creating infinite mana during all this. But actually, I would just flash in the Welding Jar as well as a form of extra mana. I don't have to sacrifice it, but it is what it is. So at this point, I would cast those 3 artifacts. I could tap Cthulhu's Forge Master. I would probably sack Umazawa's Jite, Mana Vault, and Mana Crypt. I would go search my library for a Clock of Omens. Close and shuffle. Clock of Omens is on the battlefield. I would tap Clock of Omens, and we could tap God Pharaoh Statue. I remember these triggers at the end of the step. Each of these turns, my opponents lost 2 life. Then I would untap my Cthulhu Forge Master. Next, I would tap Cthulhu again, sacking 3 artifacts. Actually, I think I would keep this. I'm gonna actually sack my commander. I know it seems crazy, but just follow me. Just follow me. And actually, no, yeah, with that sack, actually, I'll do it this way. Actually, I'll have these 3 artifacts. I'm gonna put another untapped trigger onto the stack, targeting this, and in response, this is untapped. Okay, let me put it back. Let me put everything back so you all see what's going on. This just got to the battlefield. I'm gonna tap these 2 to untap this. Because this was tapped. Yeah, this was with the battlefield. All right, hold on. Let me put it back. This was tapped. I'm going to tap these 2 to untap this. And then I'm going to tap these 2, put another untapped trigger on the stack. In response, I'm going to tap 3, sack 1, 2, and I'm actually going to put another untapped trigger on the stack. I guess it doesn't matter. I'll just leave that one. I don't need to. That's overboard. Untap. I'll sack the rings. Oh no, the rings is fine. It's actually fine. I promise you, we don't need the rings right now. It's fine. Having this as like a backup method, like to regenerate something, is actually very, 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 very good. So this will untap itself, but we first have to search. So we're gonna go search, and we're gonna go search for a mirror battle sphere, and then go look for tokens. We'll go get these mirrors, and we'll make 4 mirrors. And then the untapped triggers that we had on it will resolve. At this point, we still are stacking our opponent out for 2. We have the mirror welder, and now we have these 2 sets of freaking mirrors. So now I would tap all 4 of these, put 2 untapped triggers onto this. In response to the first one, I would tap this, losing 1, 2, 3. I would tap those, sack those 3 with 2 untapped triggers left on it, and I would go get Sculpting Steel. Go get Sculpting Steel ETBs, and then I'm going to make it cop into the battlefield as a mirror battlesphere, and then I'm going to make 4 more untapped mirror. Now at this point, this is where you're allowed to kind of move in whatever direction you want to. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I'm going to go for let's just go for, because it's the easiest combo, I'm going to go for a Forsaken Monument, Walking Ballista combo, because I already have, Forsaken Monument, Basalt Monolith combo, because we already have the Walking Ballista in our hand, and if I need to, I can always tutor out from the battlefield Staff of Domination. So I will resolve one of the untapped triggers. I have 1 untapped trigger still in the stack. In response to that untapped trigger still, and I'm being optimal, you don't have to do this much, but I'm going to tap 2 of these. So I'm going to remove 2 of these. Now I have 3 tapped mirrors. I'm going to add another untapped trigger to it. So I have 2 untapped triggers. So we'll add a little counter here to show you. We have 2 untapped triggers in here. And then I'm going to tap this, remove. I'm going to sack these 3. And then I'm going to search my library, and I'm going to put what's it called, onto the battlefield. I'm going to put a Forsaken Monument onto the battlefield. Okay, Forsaken Monument is on the battlefield now. Then I'm going to This will untap. I only have one untap trigger left, but we're going to tap this 1, 2, 3. We'll put another untap trigger onto the stack. And we're actually going to go ahead and put another untap trigger onto the stack. That's holding priority. And then we'll just tap this. Untap. We'll stack this in our sculpting steel to go get a basalt monument. Untap. This untaps. Okay. And I forgot if we have 2 or 1 left, but at this point now, because of Forsaken Monument's mana ability, we'll tap for 4, untap for 3, make infinite mana. We can cast Walking Ballista if we do meet any struggle from our opponents where they have our number and they just do our thing. We're doing this in response to the Cold Delph, the next untap trigger. We can always tap this again to remove and then it'll untap again in a second, but we could sacrifice this other Mirror's Battle Sphere. We could sack at this point Clock of Omens, and we could sack probably the Wealthing Jar if we haven't already, or Basalt Mauler, because we have the infinite mana. We can get actually no, we don't have to sack that. We can flash our commander back in because once we have infinite mana, then we can sack our commander again, and then in response still we can recast our commander. We can go get Staff of Domination, and this is hypothetically speaking, if our commander, if Walking Ballista got countered or mind break trapped to go to exile, we just flash in a Staff of Domination. This will untap, and then we'll only have 1 untap still on the stack. With that untap, we'll pay 5, draw a card, untap for 1 mana, and then we'll just draw our whole deck. We'll do this until we have infinite mana already, so we need an infinite mana outlet. We can do a Stone Cold Serpent. We can cast all of our stacks pieces, so we can cast the Wandering Archaic to have more protection, and this to make people lose life if they try to storm off themselves. We can do everything the fuck we want to do. We just keep drawing cards. We can Cityscape Leveler, destroy some shit, and then we can have this protection on the battlefield. We can put another stacks piece out. At this point, we're drawing our library. If we lost our Walking Ballista, what we can do is there's that. What I would do if I lost my Walking Ballista and I have infinite mana in my pool and I have my whole deck in my hand, what I would do is I would probably find another yes, Agatha Soul Cauldron. I would cast Agatha Soul Cauldron, tap it, exile Walking Ballista from the graveyard, add a counter to it, and this will allow me to activate this to pay 4 of my infinite mana to put infinite +1/+1 counters on it, and then do again. So yeah, there's ways to get through it. It's just you just gotta be resilient. It's a very resilient deck. This is a very cracked hand. Like I've already said, most games you will be staxing the board out a lot. And if you can see here, we still have 41 cards left. So before I do that, I'm putting all my stacks pieces out. I'm putting the Torpor Orb out. I'm putting the Wandering Archaic out. I'm putting my mana reducers down. I'm putting as many things down as I can, because that means that I can, if I wanted to, I could bring back my Clock of Omens. If I wanted to, I could bring back whatever the fuck I wanted to. There's so many things I can do. I have a Voltaic Construct that I haven't played yet in my deck still, if I could find that. I could play even if I don't want to get my my Clock of Omens back, I can go get Voltaic Construct. Where's my kid at? Where's my guy at? There he is. I would give Voltaic Construct to be able to untap and tap this and be able to sack a bunch of stuff to search some more if I wanted to just put things in the battlefield to avoid all this. So it's just a lot of possibilities. Just take your time as you're learning. You'll keep getting better. You keep doing your thing. But this was a clean turn 4 win. With a turn 2, let me remind you, we had a fucking turn 2. There it is. A turn 2 Godfell statue. So really looking forward to getting that hand in real life. But yeah, it's really cool. You're in a great position. Okay. So, and we still had 1 Godotha untap trigger on the stack. So once you start casting a bunch of artifacts, you can tap it and get the last untap just to get a little more value. But outside of that, y'all be great. That's it for the stream today. When it comes to my streaming schedule, we're going to be in my flow state, and I'm just going to let y'all know. This is my first stream back. I'm going to review this. Y'all let me know by sending me a message, and just let me know how you enjoyed this first stream back. We're just doing a Decktech. I've done some play tests on my test channel, so if you can find it, you can see some play test games. But we'll be doing some more play test games on the what's it called? What am I trying to say right now? We'll be doing some more play test games on this channel coming up this week. We'll be streaming one day a week and maybe Saturday evenings. We're gonna see what feels best starting off, but as of right now, maybe Saturday evenings. We'll see what works best, and then we'll just do our thing day by day, piece by piece, life by life. But if not, if anything, y'all be easy. I'll see y'all later. Peace.